The upcoming Star Wars Outlaws game is being accused of assassinating the game's main female protagonist and turning her into a chestless Karen. Before we get into this, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. This is over at thatparkplace.com, where Manga Lawyer on X posted this: total video game character assassination by feminist developers, Star Wars Outlaws 2024. That game is being developed by Massive Entertainment, which is a subsidiary of Ubisoft. He then added they are taking all the beautiful models and turning them into chestless Karens. He then shared 4 photos, 2 side-by-sides of the game's main character, Kay Vess, alongside her actress, Humberly Gonzalez. You can see them there. You can see the first one here, and then the other one kind of gets cut off. But you can kind of see what he's talking about here. And then he had this follow-up post here saying, and always the chin. It's unclear whether or not they actually used Humberly as the character model for the design, but we did get this video back in 2023, which was kind of a spotlight on Kay Vess that was released by Ubisoft. It opens up with Gonzalez saying, "Hi, my name is Humberly Gonzalez, and I play Kay Vess in Star Wars Outlaws." And then she goes on to kind of describe who Kay Vess is and what she does in the game. And then we get this from the game's narrative director, Navid Kavari. He says, "We worked with Lucasfilm every step of the way in crafting the story, and they were an invaluable partner in helping us create and craft this thing. They were really embracing us with open arms in terms of, hey, we want to focus on the underworld. We want to focus on an outlaw navigating through that space, but we're sort of there to help guide and point out like, hey, here's an opportunity you might not have looked at, and there's a character you might want to consider." So really, it was a partnership through and through. He would later add, Humberly's energy, her humor, her wit, all of that really has kind of helped inform the character. She has a way of jumping between the matinee action, high stakes tone to shifting to really intimate, really personal performance that make you connect to Kay. It kind of feels like she was always meant to be Kay. She informs it in every way. So if she's informing the character in every way, one would assume that they also tried to use her looks to inform the design of the character. And I kind of have to agree with what Manga Lawyer here is saying. They definitely did not do her justice if they were indeed trying to copy her looks on 2K. The haircut there, especially in that second photo there, with the way her bangs are hanging, is just not attractive at all, at least for me. Maybe some of you guys might find that attractive, but it just doesn't work for me. And we also had this here too from the game's creative director. He did an interview with Edge Magazine. Julian Garrity. He said he was kind of talking about who inspired the character. And he says, when you think of a scoundrel, your mind goes to Han Solo, it goes to Lando, it goes to Indiana Jones, to James Bond, to Captain Jack Sparrow. So he lists off a bunch of male characters. One has to wonder whether this game was originally supposed to feature a male scoundrel playing it rather than a female character, given the fact he lists off all of those male characters. I also don't consider James Bond a scoundrel. That's just weird. I just don't, he's not kind of in, I wouldn't put him in that category. But he goes on and says, it was super selfish. It was the fantasy I connected with the most in the original Star Wars trilogy. As a kid, I was a much, much bigger fan of Han Solo and Chewbacca than any of the others. And then he went on to explain that the team wanted her to be, quote, a little bit more relatable. So they made her, quote, more of a rookie, a petty thief who ends up in a situation that's much bigger than they ever expected. This little fish in a colossal pond dealing with sharks and barracudas. And I think the fact that he's talking about how all of these male characters are scoundrels kind of also hints at, I think, why we see a lot of these female characters, especially in these big AAA games, looking more like men than the female actors and models that they're designing the characters after. It's because these people do have an agenda. They want to erase the feminine form. They want to put this idea that gender and sex is malleable, that you can go between being a male and a female, and that there is not, that God didn't create male and female, which he did indeed do. And they are literally trying to attack that idea. And I definitely think this is part of that. and we need to oppose that. But we also have to be careful that we don't get into the hyper sexualization that sometimes can happen, and that I think leads people to lust. And we want to be careful about that as well. So there is a fine line that these video game developers have to follow. But I do think it is possible to do that, where you can still kind of show and highlight the feminine form, show that beauty that leads people up the ladder towards God, but also does not kind of lead them down the rung into lust. And I think there is a way to do that. And I think that these developers are smart enough and good enough to do that. Unfortunately, they are not. They are obviously, in this case, clearly, I think, leading people down the ladder into this idea that gender and sex is malleable and is not binary, and obviously is an attack on God's creation of male and female. But let me know what you guys make of Manga Lawyer's accusations here. What do you make of the character design of Kay Vess in Star Wars Outlaws? Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, but to always speak the truth.